Hello everyone. Today I am going to deal with the topic that is basic postulates of quantum mechanics. From the name itself we can understand it is the foundation of quantum mechanics. If we want to understand a system or whatever parameters are coming under quantum mechanics, then these basic postulates play a very important role, and if we understand these easily we can study quantum mechanics. So here, what is the use of studying these postulates? These postulates enable us to understand many things about the system. Mainly I have listed 3 and we are going to find out the answer for these 3 questions. First one is how a quantum state is described mathematically at any given time t. The second one is how to calculate various physical quantities from this quantum state. That is, physical quantities are nothing but the parameters which we study in classical regime. It may be position, momentum, energy or any physical quantity. How we are going to calculate those quantities in quantum state will be answered under this heading itself. Third and very important thing is time evolution of a state or a system. That is, if you know about the system at any given time t, let us say, as the time is going on proceeding after certain time interval, let us say at time t1, what is the nature of the state, how the system has changed, all these things can be understood when we study the basic postulates of quantum mechanics. So let's begin. Mainly the basic postulates are 5 in number. First let us name those. First one is the state of a system or a wave function. Second one is observable and operator. Observable is with respect to the classical regime. Those are nothing but the physical quantities. And what will be the corresponding operator in quantum regime? We are going to study under this heading. Then postulate number 3 is with respect to measurement and eigenvalue, that is the outcome from the system, what we can measure. Fourth one is the probabilistic outcome of measurement, and fifth one is time development of quantum system. So answer for the third question is under the fifth postulate, which is time development of quantum system. As the time proceeds, how the quantum system is going to change. So let us study one by one. First one is state of a system or wave function. So statement is like the state of any physical system at time t is given by state vector ket xi of t in Hilbert space. So here state of a system at any given time t is contained in the state vector which is xi of t, and it is always in Hilbert space. So what actually is Hilbert space? Let us see first and then let us move on to the state of the system. So if you consider E1 cap, E2 cap, E3 cap, so on up to En cap as the set of orthonormal bases, and phi1 of x, phi2 of x up to phi n of x, these are the set of orthonormal unit vectors or vectors, then the corresponding space, which will be infinite dimensional space, is termed as functional space. And if there are some complex functions in that infinite dimensional space, then such space is called as Hilbert space. So this is just a brief outline to understand Hilbert space for easy understanding and remembrance also. That's why we can understand that in Hilbert space it is containing all the terms. It may be real, complex function, and it is not having any limitation. It is a infinite dimensional space. And always these quantum states are considered in Hilbert space itself. So next, in order to understand about state of the system, we need the function which is a wave function which we have already discussed. Let us recapitulate. So a system having, let us say, n degrees of freedom with coordinates q1, q2, so on up to qn and time t, the state of a system can be completely specified by a function which is nothing but xi. That's why generally we represent xi as a function of position as well as time, that is xi of r comma t, and that function is named as wave function or state function or also state vector of a system. So we can understand wave function is playing a very important role in order to understand the state of a system, because we already know xi is going to be related with respect to the presence of the particle. We know as such xi is not having any physical significance, but when you multiply xi with its complex conjugate, then we are going to get the probability, which is very significant. That's why we say xi is also significant, as it is going to give us some details about the presence of a particle at any given time. Again, there are some restrictions on wave function. That is, it has to be valid means xi as well as its derivative. Derivative may be with respect to position or time, anything with respect to any domain. Xi as well as its derivative, you can say as dou xi, must be a continuous function, also finite and single valued over a domain of variables of xi. It cannot have different values for xi at single time. It has to be always single valued and also finite. It can't be infinite in nature. So this is the condition put on the wave function for its validity. Again, we have two different representations in which xi can be explained. One is coordinate representation, where xi is a function of position and time, and another thing is in momentum space, which is nothing but momentum representation, which is denoted as xi of p comma t, where p is the momentum. Again, we know momentum, if we have, we can just derive the position out of it. In general, just to visualize, I am going to say P is equals to m into v. That is, momentum, linear momentum will be equal to mass into velocity. Velocity is nothing but time rate of change of position. That is m into dr by dt. So finally we are going to get the position itself. So both the representations are used for explaining the state of a system. Next important thing here is the principle of superposition. Superposition means we can say as a combination or superimposition also. It is something like addition. Let us say there are some five stimulus or stimuli. They are going to add up and finally we are going to get one response. So their superposition or superimposition is going to take place. The same thing is going to take place in case of quantum mechanics also. It is something like if a physical system may be of one or many configuration, the most general state of that system will be the combination of all the possibilities, where the amount in each configuration will be specified by the wave function, which is complex in nature, because we know wave function is nothing but complex probability amplitude. So what actually is principle of superposition? In simplest words, we can say it is a linear combination of wave functions which gives a new wave function. Always it should be a linear combination. So linear quantum states are considered here. And when you add up those, finally you are going to get a new wave function, which will be the resultant. So if you consider for an example a discrete system, then C1 ket xi1 plus C2 ket xi2 plus C3 ket xi3 will be equal to ket xi. So here we are having three different states and finally we are having the response as another wave function which is the resultant of that, and C1, C2, C3 are the coefficients corresponding to vectors xi1, xi2 and xi3. So in general we can just remember like this. It may be moving up to n numbers. So if you consider for n different states, we can just represent the vector or the wave function get xi will be equal to summation of ci get xi I, where the summation runs from 1 to n. And if we have xi, we know that easily we can find out the probability, and probability is very important in quantum mechanics because as such xi is complex, and that's why it doesn't have any physical significance, but if you get the probability it is going to be real, which can be understood and visualized very easily. So it will be giving you the sum of probabilities due to each state. So this is just one example. Again, this can be explained using another simpler example for knowing its significance. Here I have considered only 3 states, that is C1 xi1 plus C2 xi2 C3 xi3. Again, if you take the complex conjugate of it, here we are having ket notations. In complex notations we will be having bra notations, and the coefficients will be converted into their conjugates. So it will be C1 star bra xi1 plus C2 star xi2 plus C3 star xi3 will be equal to the complex conjugate of ket xi will be bra xi. If you take the inner product of it, that is bra xi into ket xi, we just need to multiply all the components, and when we just multiply, that is taking the inner product, it is something like A dot B will be equal to A1 B1 plus A2 B2 plus A3 B3. In the same way, if you just multiply, we have C1 star into inner product of xi1 with xi1 plus C2 star into inner product of xi2 with xi2 plus C3 star inner product of xi3 with xi3. Here I have not considered xi1 with xi2 or xi2 with xi3, because already we know that if you have the inner product of xi with xij, when I is not equal to j, then it is going to be equal to 0, which is nothing but orthogonal set. And if both are equal, that is I is equals to j, so inner product of xi1 with xi1, we can consider it will be equal to 1 based on the Kronecker delta function, and such set are said to be orthonormal set. And here other sets are going to be vanishing because of this function, and finally we are left with C1 square of C1 or mod of C1, square of mod of C2, square of mod of C3 with addition mark in between, because inner product of xi1 with xi1 is going to be 1, xi2 also, xi3 also. We are leaving only with the square of mod of the coefficients, and we already know the inner product of xi with xi, it is nothing but integration from minus infinity to plus infinity, let us say xi star into xi into theta, which will be nothing but the probability of the system. That's why we can just say, if you are having different states and when you linearly combine those, finally you are getting a new state, then the square of the mod of the coefficients and the sum of that finally is going to give you the total probability of the system. So we can say P1, which is the probability of finding a particle in state xi1, will be equal to mod C1 square. Whereas finding a particle in state Xi2, probability will be equal to, let us say P2 will be equal to square of mod C2. In the same way, you can consider for n number of states. So total probability P will be equal to P1 plus P2 plus P3, so on up till Pn. Here the main thing is we are considering the orthonormal states and the wave function should be normalized wave function. That is the main condition for the validity of the wave function, which we have already discussed in our previous videos. So this is about the principle of superposition and the state of a system, which is the first basic postulate of quantum mechanics, which answers the first question. Next, the second, third and higher basic postulates will be taken up in our coming classes. Thank you.